everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Curb and Canyon with my co-host, who's not here. I don't know where he is. We should have started recording a few minutes ago, and he's not here. So I'm getting started without him. Unbelievable, this guy. Unbelievable. Especially, it's such a huge story to talk about today. Singer have just dropped a new turbo. A rendition of the 930 Turbo, I believe. I'm so excited. The whole world is excited to talk about this. And yet, where's Andy? Who knows? So guys, welcome back. And here he is, Mr. Andy Gaunt. Andy, you're here. I'm so glad. You know, I was just telling everybody about what a top bloke you are, how you're always on time, how, best co-host ever. And in the reviews, you always come out on top. Everybody is raving about you and about us. You know, the reviews, they're absolutely fantastic.
That's great. You know, we get a lot of good feedback, and I think it's because we've got this great dynamic together.
Yep, that's it. Totally. All right. Let's move on. Look at you, professional.
Hey,
you're looking professional, dude. You sat on a chair instead of the floor.
Yeah, you know it.
I love it.
And yeah, I've got this. I bought this Rode microphone boom. It's like full radio setup in here now, James. So
I'm a little bit intimidated, to be honest.
Well, I hope everyone really feels this stepping up in quality. We got a big day, huh? Like a bumper edition.
We do a bumper. I mean, yeah, we do. We have a bumper edition, and then we're also going to be talking about upcoming podcasts as well, which I'm really excited about. I'm excited. Where should we start? Singer, burning Porsches in the Atlantic. What do you want to talk about?
Well, we've got so much, but I just need to rewind. We're going to recap a little because you recently, last episode, you were talking about, you had that great idea that the more time I spend thinking about it, the more I think you're either a genius or a moron. And that is to try to come to Australia and drive from Melbourne to Perth. Now, first of all, what the hell happened? Because you posted on socials this map, this Google Map version, which seemed to take you the longest possible way.
Look, that's the Google algorithm showing me the best, coolest way to get from A to B. And it's clearly genius because you keep asking me about it, which means you're thinking about it. You're thinking about coming, like, for real.
I'm thinking about doing it in a lifted Cayenne. That's what I'm thinking about.
That's a Porsche. That'll do.
Yeah. But literally everybody I know has messaged me and said, what the hell is James on? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I've been wondering that since I met him. But so I finally got out for a drive on the weekend, COVID-free. Got out, went driving, just a quick drive, and I drove past a buddy of mine, Sam, coming in the other direction up in the hills. And I messaged him later. I said, hey, was that you I saw this morning? And he said, yeah, it was. We should have stopped and had a chat because 5 minutes later this happened. And he shows me a picture of his bumper, which looks a little bit damaged because he hit a wallaby. And that's yeah, and this is the realities of driving in Australia. I'm trying to explain it to you. Driving across the Nullarbor, dude, there's all sorts of stuff you can run into out there.
Well, like dinosaurs. I mean, like, we've talked about wallabies and kangaroos. What else?
I'm not going to say no dinosaurs. Who knows?
Now I'm worried. Like, what the hell else is out there terrifying people?
Just
Godzilla. I mean, I know you've got those massive crocodiles. I'm not planning on doing any skinny dipping in freshwater pools.
You don't want to hit a wombat. A, because devastating, cutest animal ever, and B, they are like running into a little mini wine barrel. You just don't want to do it. And yeah, that route that Google planned for you, that is about as inhospitable and impassable as it gets. Across the top end there, that's serious four-wheel driving territory, my friend.
Yeah, I need to go and check the filters then that I put on the directions. Maybe instead of saying avoid tolls, I selected most dangerous route, please. Yeah.
Hey, we've got to say a big shout out and a big thanks to everybody who's been tuning in and giving us feedback. We've had so much positive feedback, right?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. I'm blown away.
Well, I've got to welcome and just a real shout out to our latest listener. She's not really a listener so much. This is my wife, but so I was listening to the pod the other day. It's hard to tell this story without admitting that I listened to our podcast, but it's just for quality control because like I send you notes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like I listen and then I send James just notes on the things you can improve and stuff like that. So I had it playing, and my wife comes out and she's like, "Is this your podcast?" And my first question was like, "Well, it's my voice. What else would it be?" And anyway, she said to me, "Wow," she said, you really compliment each other really well." I said, "Oh, that's really nice." She said, "Yeah, not just the banter," she said, "but your voices, like the different sounding voices, which is really great." And I said, "Oh, that's good." She said, "Yeah, because like James has this like deep, manly sort of radio, really rich, velvety chocolate voice, and then there's your voice." So I don't know how to take that.
I don't care how you take it. I'm taking that great. Thank you, Kath. If you're listening, here is my deep voice.
She will not be listening. I'll make sure of it.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Hey, so should we talk about burning ships?
Dude, seriously.
What the heck? Didn't this just happen?
Oh, well, and this isn't the first crisis that's happened this year with Porsches. I mean, all right, pandemic world, Porsche have been producing fewer 911s than I think they ever have, even during the housing crisis of the 2008 and 9 sort of time frame. There is a huge tanker ship that's I think currently just off the coast of Portugal, and it's on fire. And all the photos show something akin to the warm version of the Titanic as opposed to icebergs and snow. But it doesn't look good for the ship. Now, apparently all of the crew have been rescued. So, let's start there because,
important.
I do regret slightly my comments about the Evo driver in the last video. And I was more worried about his GoPros than his car or him or her.
Yeah.
But to be fair, GoPros cost a lot of money.
Yes.
But yeah,
you just get dive right back in there, are you?
Yeah, totally. So the crew were all safe. Yay, crew. But who knows what's happening to the cars? They're probably melted at this point.
Can you imagine? I mean, what if that boat sinks? Does that become then like a dive wreck? Imagine, it's your first time scuba diving. Okay, we're going to go dive this wreck. It's pretty cool. You'll see some interesting things in there. Some stuff you wouldn't expect to see. What? 911 Turbo S. Early reports had Boxster spiders being on the ship. Now, whether or not that's true, apparently, according to the Drive, that's there's been some changes on that reporting. But this isn't the first time it's happened, right? Porsches were stuck on a ship that caught fire within the last couple of years. I remember this.
They were. Yeah, you know what I think it is? I think, that they're out at sea, there's no one around, the crewmen are like, let's just get into this GT3 RS and just start revving. And they start revving, something catches fire, and then shit hits the fan or, whatever else. And they get themselves into trouble. Get this, though, the name of the boat, and it's not Boaty with boat face, it's which is hilarious in itself, the Felicity Ace.
Yeah. Am I the only one who just imagines that chick with curly hair from that TV show, Felicity? whatever that J.J. Abrams show was. I think I only asked that because she's in that show, The Americans, which I'm actually watching at the moment. So
oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Is that Kerry Russell?
Kerry Russell. There you go. Couldn't remember her name.
Yeah. The only way I'm onto you is because of the Jennifer Garner connection, and we could talk about Jennifer Garner forever, but let's not go there.
I got to say, it's not the best looking tanker ship, is it?
It's pretty futuristic, you know. I mean, it's blocky and choppy, and
it's sort of got a brutalist architecture sort of vibe going on. Not a lot of windows.
Exactly.
Not a lot of windows. No one. Well, the fire will be put out because there won't be any oxygen in there. I have to say though, I hope they get it under control. And because can you imagine if you've been waiting for, God, even your McCann to show up, and it's been a 9-month wait because there's been the problem with the microchips and all that stuff. Finally, you get a call from the dealer. Dude, great news. It's left Germany on the Felicity Ace. The Felicity Ace, got to tell you, that is an ace ship. It's the fastest one we got. And you're like, yes, I'm tracking it now. You're telling all your buddies. You're posting on Instagram. My McCann's coming. And then this.
And then this happens. Oh. Well, it's funny you should mention that because my friend Chuck here in the Twin Cities, he's expecting delivery of a brand new 992. I think it's the GTS trim. No, it's actually the turbo. And I think it should be arriving in the next couple of weeks. Maybe his was on this boat. I hope not. What's funny though,
I hope not.
Is have you noticed the holding statement from Porsche?
No.
Dear customer, we want to note that certain vehicles are temporarily unavailable due to supply chain disruptions.
That's gold. That's
your dealership will provide you with additional information on how this issue impacts you as soon as we have more information. Which means, I'm sorry, mate, your car's on fire. We don't know if it's currently on fire or it's about to be on fire. And we probably should note for the Volkswagen and Audi enthusiasts out there that there are some VWs and Audis on there as well. You know, boo-hoo.
Yeah, because we're big with that audience. Yeah, imagine that. The holding statement should almost say something like, your dealer will provide you with more information, scuba tanks and a mask so you can collect your car at a later date.
Exactly. If you want to go get it yourself, here are the coordinates.
Gee whiz.
Good luck.
Well, look, I will say I'm very glad the crew's all safe. They were rescued early doors. They were picked up by the Resilient Warrior. See, that's... If you're going to be picked up by another ship, the Resilient Warrior, you imagine that rolls in. That's the equivalent of a knight on a horse.
Exactly. But speaking of disasters, earlier this year, where was it that the dealership flooded on the side of like one of the famous rivers? Was it in Paris? I don't remember where it was, but I just remember seeing this photo of like 50 brand new 911s and Caymans all completely up to the top with water. Porsche, they're not having a good year, are they?
No, I thought maybe that was Switzerland. I mean, that was terrible. Those floods were shocking, absolutely shocking. And it was funny because, you know, you as a Porsche enthusiast, the first thing we saw was footage of dealerships with cars being flooded, and then obviously the news turned out to be so much worse than even just that. But yeah, you're right. There seems to be a lot of stuff going on with Porsches being caught in dire situations. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. Who knows? Hopefully over the next couple of days, in fact, hopefully by the time you guys hear this, it's all been resolved and cars are still on their way. And if it's one of yours, gee, we've got our fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, gutted. I'm going to find out if my friend Chuck has been affected. You keep going, Andy. You keep talking. I'm going to call Chuck. I'm joking. Don't worry. I'm going to stay here with you.
I was going to say, do we have to have a talk about this, like afterwards? Like, listen, you can't make calls during the pod. You just, like, that doesn't work, man. What the hell?
Is that against podcast recording etiquette?
I don't know. I just would have thought so. You've been doing this longer than me. But I'm just saying, as the host, and you know, you being my sidekick, I just want you there the whole time.
You know, if you turn up on time, it's all good. It's good from there.
Hey, do we want to talk about what happened yesterday?
Dude, you know what? Yeah, okay, right. So for the listeners, I'm sat around and I get a note from Andy later on in the day saying, "Hey, are we recording or what?" And I thought you blew past the time because. No, wait. I'm getting my wires mixed up. I'm sorry.
You were sitting there with your feet on the couch, having a cup of tea and a Tim Tam, thinking you still had a couple of hours left.
That's right. Because we've been talking about this Perth road trip so much, I just planned our podcast around Perth time. Just, again, not appreciating the distance. You're actually 2 hours, 2 time zones, 2 hours behind where Perth is, or ahead of.
Yeah, Melbourne be on the west coast, Perth be on the east coast, Perth be on the west.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm sorry about that. And I was thinking, I really wish we could talk now because I've got like the next 2 or 3 hours free. What's going on? And then, you were basically having to go at me saying, where are you? Are we recording or what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. My bad.
It's okay. I've moved on. I'm past it. I'm okay.
Like I tell you, I'm the amateur. I'm the auto amateur. I'm also the podcast amateur.
Yeah. You under promise and under deliver, and I got to respect that. Do you know who's not an amateur?
I don't.
Ken Block. Now, there's a guy who's been making. I mean, he's obviously a very experienced and impressive rally driver, but he's obviously become more well-known over the last 10 years for his incredible Motorcano videos that he puts out every 6 to 9 months. You've seen all this stuff, right? Like, awesome.
I've seen a fair amount. I've seen enough to know that it's just really impressive.
Yeah.
I want that guy's life, basically. He's got an absolute shitload of subscribers. He gets to drive around in everything from road cars to rally cars. And I don't like him. I mean, I like him.
No, I see. I get it. So he's competing in the East African Safari Classic Rally for Tuthill, and so Tuthill are the mob who built the Rally 911 with Singer. They've won this rally 4 times. Have you seen some of the footage on his socials? It's nuts.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, let's just stop for a second. The East African Safari Classic Rally. That in itself
rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Well, it just makes me think of like some Disney movie where all of the jungle animals are going to be running alongside and helping the hero get to the finish line. And who knows, maybe there's an Elton John song in there somewhere. And
so you're saying he has to meet sort of like 2 sidekick characters who are, the sort of Timon and Pumbaa sort of R2-D2 C3PO type.
Exactly.
Comic relief characters.
You're not going to win that rally unless you get a comedy sidekick or at least some kind of comic relief.
Does he? But see, then in that sort of instance, then he needs the wise old guide, the Obi-Wan type figure to just push him in the right direction.
Well, let's see how it goes. Is this going to be on TV? Can we?
Yeah, I don't know.
Follow this Disney adventure.
Yeah, look, I hope so. And the Elton John soundtrack, I think, is definitely one that has to happen. But do you know what? I mean, you talk about that, seeing some of the footage. I watched some of the in-car, and, I was talking about dodging wallabies before. This guy's dodging, like, trucks full of farmers, herds of sheep, like, just crazy stuff.
Yeah. I saw this one... I saw this one segment where he's like drifting around a corner, and it looks like it's one of those sort of dirt roads covered in shale and rock. And as he's drifting around the corner, there's like a herd of something on the other side of the road that could quite easily run in front of him at any time. That's got to be quite an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, look, how cool would it be doing it in an old 911? And there was a bit of footage I saw where they've gone over this rise, done a sort of a huge jump. And you think about Ken Block, his driving videos, everything's so kind of rehearsed and perfectly done. And you see him do this jump, and as the car comes down, it comes down on quite the angle. It looks it doesn't quite look right. And as he lands, you see him just turn to his co-driver and go like, "Oh, whoa." I I was thinking he needs a new pair of shorts.
Absolutely. And it's I mean, it's not a day-long event either. It's happening over a couple of weeks and like 5,000 kilometers, and I don't know what that is in miles off the top of my head. That's
9 days. 9 days. So I don't know. Do you know
Wow.
what you can actually do? There's live tracking and live results. As I talk to you, I'm looking at the site. Hey, whoa! So currently he's coming second.
good job, Ken Block.
There you go. Yes, go Ken Block. Well done. And interestingly, the guy who's coming first is also in a Tuthill prepared 911. So Porsche 1 and 2.
The one that I see on their website is this incredible sort of neon pink and purple and black job. It looks really dope. Looks really cool.
Yeah, that's yeah. Have you seen this that Type 7 video with the Tuthill cars? And just it's so good. I love the way their cars are prepped, the way they look, the liveries. Yeah, that's one of those mobs who, if your numbers came up in the lottery, you'd be getting in touch with.
Yeah. So do they work on Porsches exclusively, and it's all about ice driving or desert driving, or basically challenging kind of climates? That's what they seem to be focused on. Do they do anything else? I mean, they've been around since, I don't know, the 70s, haven't they?
Yeah, don't. People might correct me on this. My understanding is that Tuthill, he's a winning rally driver himself. I think his dad started the business, and they eventually became entirely focused on Porsche. I'm pretty sure that's right. And now they do prep for rally cars for these classic rallies. So they seem to be air-cooled focused. But then I've seen they've done, they've prepped gorgeous road cars. There was a seen-through glass video where Sam was driving just a silver, some silver long hood that was just hot-rodded and gorgeous, like a lovely car, but crazy fast as well. So I think they do a bit of everything. It seems to me that their specialty is the air-cooled cars, and obviously they worked with Singer on the ACS? I think that's right. That crazy futuristic Star Wars looking rally car that came out last year, which that thing, the footage of that was just amazing. I love that car. I love what they've done with that.
Well, if you go to belowzeroicedriving.com, they've got a couple of videos of drone shots of these air-cools racing through the snow, through the alpine trees, and it's a dream. That's like the kind of footage I want to take. It's amazing watching these cars just slip and slide and drive over that kind of surface.
Yeah. Hey, and just a quick thing. So we talked about the Redford 904 GTS. Well, it was we debated whether we thought it was cool or not. And for the record, I think it's cool. But it actually sold, in fact, prior to our pod going live, for 1.5 million USD, which includes a buyer's premium. So yeah, somebody thought it was cool. So, what's the biggest story in the Porsche world right now, James?
It's got to be Singer and the turbo. It's got to be.
It has. Arguably the most iconic 911 of all time.
The 930.
Yeah. It'd have to be, right? It's the kind of...
Yeah.
Because when you think of Porsche, you think of this... you think about what the brand's become, but largely that era of it being the sort of poster car that kids had up on their walls and the like. That's all about the 930. It's all about the 930.
And that was Porsche's first entry into the turbocharged market back in whenever it was. That was the first turbocharged road car they put out.
75. And you think about it as well, because that was a G-body car, G-bodies ran from 74 right through to 89. So that's a really long, solid era of the cars. Yeah. Visually, at least, largely looking the same. So, while I think G-body cars seem to go through ebbs and flows in terms of their popularity, it's probably the most recognizable version of that silhouette, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think so. And so Singer are Singer. Everybody in the Porsche world probably knows who Singer are and what they've done for the air-cooled community. This is also their first venture, I believe, into turbocharged restorations. And apparently it was due to customer demand. But now it seems like, according to their website, they have more than 70 owners that have reserved bespoke restoration services. And who knows if they probably won't all look the same, but that's 70 people with 930 turbos lining up saying, Singerize my car, please. I mean, how much money is that? Each one of these has got to be $1 million project. I don't know.
I'd have thought so. I mean, you're taking, they build on a 964 chassis, and then the engine's a 3.8 litre flat six, 450 horsepower. And actually, which is plenty in an air-cooled car. And I heard Rob and Maz on the Nineworks podcast, and they were saying there's actually more boost available than the way it comes stock, because they're using the turbocharger from a 992 Carrera, which is super cool. Yeah. But they talked about how the 930 is a little bit different from just in the philosophy of what that car was supposed to be, because yes, it's the high performance, the Widowmaker, all of these things, but it was also seen, at the time and through its eras as a luxury grand tourer. So they've really tried to make this car this kind of beautiful blend of supercar, but then this luxurious grand tourer as well. And you can see that on the interior photos. The interior just looks stunning, absolutely stunning.
Yeah. So actually, I didn't realize this isn't just a restoration. This is like a completely new build. They're not putting original parts in there. They're using more modern parts from more modern Porsche platforms, but they're creating this iconic turbo in the style of the original version.
Yeah, and then reinterpreting, a lot of those design elements. So, things like the impact bumpers, the accordion section of the impact bumpers, the way they've actually re-sculpted those. When you look at the exterior shots of the car, I think they've turned those into, a beautifully sculpted piece of art. And because to me, I was never a massive fan of those impact bumpers, particularly when you compare them to the refinement on a long hood. So I think the way Singer have done it with this, the way they've just reinterpreted that, it just looks stunning. And then the shark fin kind of detail that goes in front of the rear wheel, over the wheel arch, they've actually turned that into an intake. So it not only looks cool, but it adds genuine functionality.
So let me ask you this controversial question: is it still a Porsche?
No, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I think I've got no problem saying a Singer is a Porsche. It's based on a 964 chassis. It uses elements of the engine, of the block, and all that sort of stuff. So. Definitely. Are you on the fence about that?
No, I'm not. But I think, somebody asked me recently, where is that line sort of going to be drawn between, there's a pretty well understood line between a factory Porsche and a modified Porsche.
Yes.
Whatever aftermarket mods you want to do, or even factory mods, it's modified from what you would have gotten or you did get from the factory. But where's the line between a modified Porsche and something completely different, something else? I mean, the Safari car, just going back to that, to me, that's still a Porsche. I don't remember, necessarily seeing them advertise Safari cars from the factory ever.
No,
But
no.
but I think there have been enough of them, and they're successful enough, and they're desirable enough, and clearly they hold their value, and they're expensive enough, and part of the sort of Porsche pop culture, if you will, to be a Porsche. But at what point do you say that that's no longer a Porsche? It's got a Porsche chassis, but everything else is different.
It's a really interesting question, actually, because when you think about other exotic car makers, I think it speaks to the passion that people have for Porsche compared with other brands, in that it's not just about buying the car, owning the car, having the best example of it. It's also about creating your best interpretation of it. And whether that's as subtle as changing seat belts and putting in some deviated stitching and a couple of bits of carbon fibre.
Who does that? Who would do that to a car?
Or just putting a set of wheels on it, or going right down the rabbit hole as far as designers like Singer do. I think there's an understanding in the Porsche community that all of these cars, they're still just interpretations of a platform that we know and love. Now, I think if you start, I don't know, maybe you could say that if you start dropping an LS into it, or electrification and that sort of thing, does that tip it over the edge of not being a Porsche? I'm not sure. But I think these sorts of builds, these sorts of cars only add to the Porsche story and only add to the Porsche mystique, and I think they bring something to the table.
Yeah. No, I think I'm behind all of that. It's just it's I guess it's technical in some respects, but it's very subjective in other respects. And I think that's part of the interest with Porsche, frankly, is that there are so many parts of the car that are subjective. And so, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think the perfect Porsche is also in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, spot on. And it's like Darren Pfister was saying to us, when Porsche produce a car, they're still working to a budget, right? They're still working to broadest audience possible. So we have to make this car work for the dentist and the enthusiast. So, that impacts the outcome in terms of what they're able to produce. Versus if you look at something like a Singer, well, that says, if you've got a virtually unlimited budget, what materials could you use? Where could you use carbon fiber instead of plastic? Where could you use, who knows? Like if you look at, just looking in the engine bay, for example, rather than bolting on a hideous intercooler on top of things, they haven't got an intercooler in there. So you've got this gorgeous engine bay. And that's not to say that Porsche couldn't have done that from the factory, but perhaps that was just absolutely cost prohibitive. So, I do. I really like these interpretations. The car just looks, it really does look cool. I'm a big fan. It was interesting though, like I say, Maz and Rob were on Nineworks, and Lee and Andy did a great job. It was a great interview, actually. But the question came up about the use of the 964 as the basis for these cars, because it's one of my worries a little bit. Is for every Singer that's built, that's another 964 that's no longer a 964. Right. And look, it makes sense, right? You think about it. The Singer have built their business around 964s, so all of the tooling, the suspension componentry and the like, they've spent 12 years designing around a 964 chassis. So I completely get why they use it as the basis of what they do. Yeah. I'd love to see them produce a car that was a 964 chassis and a 964. So that, at the end of it, they haven't depleted the world of another 964, but actually there's a 964 still rolling down the road, but it's been given the Singer treatment.
So is it just the chassis, or is it more than the chassis? Because arguably, if these cars are $1 million projects, couldn't they factor in the build of a replica chassis? They've got the specs, they got the design. You know, does that mean it's no longer a Porsche?
I don't know. I mean, you know, I guess then you start getting into roof territory, right? Where basically you're talking about creating a carbon fiber monocoque and starting there. But I don't know enough about the sort of technical elements of it. But, you know, it was interesting because Maz was saying, listen, you know, Porsche produced thousands and thousands and thousands of the 964, which is true, but it's not the whole story. So if you look at supercars.net, I just did a little bit of digging, you know, whether these stats are 100% correct or not, let me know. But Porsche produced just over 66,000 964s between 89 and 94. So, okay, that's a lot of cars, right? But they only use coupes. They only use C2, and I think they do the occasional C4. So only 34,000 of those were C4 or C2 coupes, and of that, only 5,109 cars went to the USA.
Okay.
You know, when you start digging down into it, it's the market's not awash with 964s. And, you know, if you look at Australia, for example, we now have access to Singer where we never did before. And the rumour, what I'm hearing through local mechanics and the like, is that the Australian distributor has snapped up 20 cars. Now, I don't know if this is true, right? This is all hearsay, so don't quote me on it. But Australia only had 150 C2 coupes delivered through the entire production run. So if 20 straight cars have been taken from Australia to be turned into Singers, that's a huge percentage of our 964 C2 population just being taken to be turned into a car that is no longer a 964.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, and put money to one side. If somebody or if Singer came to you and said they want to use your car as a donor, and you get it back, what would you do?
So wait, I get it back as a Singer?
You'd get it back as a Singer, yeah. But it would no longer be the 964 you know today.
Wait, am I paying for it? Or they're doing it for free? If they're doing it for free, I mean, you got to do it, right? Like.
But yeah, you know, take money out of it. You don't have to pay for the job. You're not going to flip it and sell it afterwards.
No, okay. Well, so look, if I had the choice between their new 930 or one of their original sort of ST based builds that we've seen them do so many of over the years, I'd probably lean towards the ST, the long hood look. That's just more appealing to me than a 930. But see, I would probably rather send my car to someone like Workshop 5001 and have them turn it into the ultimate 964. Because to me, I love the 964. I just adore it. I adore the shape, and I'd like to retain it. However, if Rob wants to get in touch and talk, and there's an offer on the table, I'm open to discussion.
You know, I think I appreciate that response, but it also sounds a little bit like the kid who gets 3 wishes and wishes for
more wishes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but that's it. It's just as realistic as the 3 wishes, right? Like,
yeah, I suppose
it's never going to happen. I mean, I think, you know, people talk about, you know, has Singer driven the popularity of 964s? I don't really think that's the case. I think it's important to separate the difference between popularity and values, because I think the person who wants a 964 doesn't want one because that's the Singer car, right? Because visually they're 2 very, very different cars. Other than maybe the person who thinks, well, hey, if the chassis is good enough for Singer, it's good enough for me. But I think if you want a 964, it's because you want a 964. I think the difference is Singer has perhaps pushed the values, you know, and the values are going up. And I suppose if you're in the States and you're bidding $130K on Bring a Trailer for a 964, the guy who's going to spend $500,000 total on his Singer build isn't going to think twice about outbidding you by 5 to 10K just to secure that donor car. So I think that's where they're driving values up.
You know, the whole term or the concept donor car kind of makes me feel a little sad. Because
same.
It really does. They're pulling apart, tearing something down that was arguably perfect in many, many people's eyes. And even though they're transforming it into something better, it's a little sad. If I can avoid hearing that term, I think I would. Donor car. Oh, poor 964.
Well, because think about it, right? You think about it, it's like organ donors, right? They're the dead people. They're the ones we don't need anymore. So, but they're not taking, wrecked cars. Like the car has to be straight, it has to be uncrashed. So it's like taking a perfectly live human and saying, "Hey, listen, you're perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take your kidney, your liver, your heart. We're going to take all these things and we're going to give them to someone else. You're done."
Oy. Yeah.
Anyway. But anyway. All that said, I love Singer. I love what they've done. I do love their work. I just hope we still get to see amazing 964s getting around, and that's why I love organisations like Workshop 5001 and just seeing even the stuff that guys like Jeff Gamroth are doing. Building beautiful 964s. I love that.
I mean, I think even though it is eating into the population of the original available 964s, I think this probably gets more press than what's actually happening in reality. And that, looking at the big picture, this is probably just, 1 or 2% of the population of cars. It's not like
I'm sure
50% of the population out there are being chopped up and redone.
No, I agree. And it's probably creating artificially creating a sense of scarcity that's not borne out by the numbers as well, and again, that's probably impacting on values somewhat.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of people building interesting Porsches, shall we talk video of the week?
Curb Canyon, the video of the week.
Let's talk video.
So, do you like Henry Catchpole? I love Henry Catchpole.
Yes. Yeah, I do. Yeah, very good.
Okay, less convincing.
This is one of the funny things about like the world we live in right now. There is so much content out there that you can't all watch everything. Like as a kid, everybody's watched the same 3 or 4 TV shows.
Yeah, we all just tuned in and watched Knight Rider.
Right. Well, whether it was Knight Rider or A-Team or the only football match that was put on the TV on a Saturday, the choice was just so limited that, sure, everybody watched the same thing and everybody knew what was going on. These days, even some of these YouTubers that have got millions of followers, you might talk to somebody who's equally invested in the community and they've never heard of them.
Yeah.
So I have heard of Henry Catchpole. You seem to be a bit more excited than I am. So why don't you take this one?
Look, what I love about Catchpole is he's a journalist, so he genuinely looks at these cars from the perspective of someone he's not an enthusiast. Well, he's an enthusiast, obviously, but he's not a YouTuber, and he's not an influencer. And I find every one of his reviews, his turn of phrase, he's a beautiful writer, and then that comes across in his delivery as well. He has this calmness in the way that he talks about cars, and his analysis of cars is really, really good. A little bit like Chris Harris. You can listen to him talk about the car he's driving for forever. Anyway, so he's been in the States. He's put out 2 videos with the Guntherwerks 993, and the first one was the Guntherwerks Coupe, which he was. He enjoyed the drive, but he wasn't sort of glowing about it. But the second video, which just dropped this week, was the Guntherwerks 993 Speedster, and you can just tell in that car, it all just comes to life, and it ticks all the right boxes for him. It's so exciting to watch. But then the films he puts out looks beautiful. So he's working with a cinematographer named Mark Ganley, and the way Mark Ganley captures the car, the angles he gets on it, the drive-bys, the drone shots, the gorgeous close-ups, and then this just perfectly crafted edit It is well worth a watch. So if you haven't seen it, it's Carfection on YouTube, and yeah, the latest video being the Guntherwerks 993 Speedster. It's well worth a look.
It's a pretty incredible looking car.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's just like it's the perfect combination of so many different things that I love about Porsche. I mean, the color is incredible. The wheels are awesome. The center, it has the center tailpipes. The two in the middle, the ducktail, the Porsche lettering on the back. I've never really been too keen on the iconic Speedster. What would you call them? Humps on the back of the car.
Yeah.
I think this car looks really good with them.
Yeah.
Now, how much would this one go for?
I don't know. They've only made, I can't remember what the number he said it was. Maybe it was 25, and they're all sold. It's crazy money. And actually, what I really like about Guntherwerks is that they've taken a completely different approach to Singer, because there are a few companies who have, to me, Singer kind of set the benchmark of creating a business that reimagines these cars. And it seems to me there are quite a few companies who have largely replicated Singer's business model. We take a 964, we backdate it, maybe we use slightly different seats than Singer, but largely people are creating almost replica Singers. Whereas, Guntherwerks have said, great, love what Singer have done. That's an incredible product. What can we do that's a reimagining, but in a completely different space than what they've done? So they base it on the 993. They've done something completely different. I think those two companies complement each other really well. I have to say that for me, the Guntherwerks cars, that wide front track in photos looks a little odd to me, but I actually saw one when I was in LA, and in the flesh, actually on Angeles Crest, they look beautiful. They look so good. Really, really cool.
Yeah. So which route or route would you go? Would you go Singer? Would you go Guntherwerks if money was no object?
I'd go Singer. A classic reimagined long hood for me is if I was doing that kind of car, that's where I'd land for sure. How about you?
I think I would go Guntherwerks.
Yeah.
The blue one I saw in Indianapolis at Luft 7.
Yeah.
I must have circled that car like 100 times. I was checking out every single little bit on it. The way the headlights had the LED rim around.
Yeah,
the black stripe across the top. Even just trying to get my eyes to remember the color of the car. The paint had this just like incredible depth to it. A metallic kind of just buttery. I just wanted to lick it. Like it. You'd see the headlines in Indianapolis.
You did,
man ejected from Luft 7 for licking cars.
COVID scare at Luft 7.
Yeah, exactly. But and they. I mean, I saw a couple of Singers there. And the attention to detail there is exquisite as well. In fact, it maybe in many respects it's unfair to put the two companies side by side.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that they fiddle with Porsches. But like the detail that was on the ducktail and the deck lid with just the crisscross on the back. Oh man, they did such a good job with that car.
Yeah, their carbon fiber work is outrageous. It's just stunning. I mean, look, in terms of quality, far out, throw a blanket over them, right? They're both incredible builders. I guess it's just what takes your fantasy in a fantasy buying proposition.
I've got to win the lottery, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, cool. Well, if you get a strategy that you think is going to work, I want in.
It involves ski masks and ram raiding.
I like it.
And by lottery, I mean bank robbery.
I'm all for it. That would be, we'd be able to create some good content out of it, surely. Like GoPros on the car, it'd be magnificent. It'd be our first video collaboration.
I can just see it now in the court. Your Honor, it's not real. It was just purely for YouTube purposes. It was make believe. It wasn't really a bank robbery.
And we got 1,500 views. So, I mean, come on.
it was
Definitely worth it.
So that's our video of the week. And how'd you like the little sound effect that I created last week?
I assume we've just heard it again. Like we're playing it every time, right? Like this is our
for
new
sure.
thing.
Yeah.
James.
Maybe I tried to one up myself this time. Who knows?
Oh, I don't know. Look, like I said, my wife, she thinks you're like a voice artist anyway. So let's go with it.
Can we swap wives? Because that's absolutely not the opinion that my wife has of me. She's like, why are you spending all of that time on the podcast? Are you going to fix that blue car and sell it?
There you go. Well, listeners, it only took till episode 5 for James to suggest a wife swap.
I've seen that reality TV show. It doesn't look like a lot of fun.
No.
So as we're wrapping up this week's podcast, let's talk about what we've got coming up. We've got a couple of panelists lined up. We've got some exciting stuff coming in the pipeline. Let's talk about next week. We've got Will from Renthusiast.
Yeah, Will from Enthusiast. Great guy. Really cool chat. Can't wait for you guys to hear that. He's got a cool story, a great channel, and Facebook page. So if you're not already following Renthusiast on YouTube, check it out. And we have a really good chat with him.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. The comments coming back to us just keep us going. That's a lot of fun. And the banter on our Instagram posts as well, I quite enjoy too. If you can, go onto Apple Podcasts and give us a review, or even just give us a 5-star, or however many stars you feel like we deserve. No, give us 5 stars. Like, just hit 5. Stay tuned. More content coming soon. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Thanks, gang. See you on the next one.